Welcome to Ultimate Playlist. I'm Matt, that's Briggs, and this is a show where we choose the best 10 songs around a theme to create its ultimate playlist, each one of us choosing our top 5. Today's theme is Ultimate 1960s Psychedelic Song Playlist. So I'm actually kind of curious about how you defined the parameters with which you chose these songs.
Right. Yeah,
I know.
We could go a number 60s. Of ways.
We kept in the 60s.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, any other things that you thought of when you were doing?
I tried to stick with popular songs. You know, I mean, this psychedelic stuff goes pretty deep, you know, and if you could get out in the weeds pretty quickly. So I think I stuck with mostly popular songs, but other than that, it was just kind of a judgment call. Do I consider this to be a psychedelic song or not?
Cool. Well, I thought about the parameters a little bit, which I'll talk about maybe in a break here.
Sure.
Going forward, but maybe we start with my number 5.
Let's do it.
Okay, my number 5 is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane.
Just had some kind of mushroom, and your mind is moving. Go ask Alice, I think she'll know. When logic and proportion have fallen, sloppy dead, and the white knight is talking backwards, and the red queen's off with her head. Remember what the Dormouse said. Feed your head.
Gray Slick and the Jefferson Airplane.
Excellent choice. Also on my list. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I thought it might be like...
Yeah, it's a classic.
It's a classic. It might even be the definitive.
It could be. I mean, it certainly is on our ultimate playlist of the definitive psychedelic 60s songs.
I mean, not just Beyond
everyone
Us.
knows this song. It's been featured. Yeah, sure, totally. I mean, it's been featured in movies, and everyone knows this song.
Yeah.
And it's got the classic, you know, feed your head. The whole thing
Yeah.
goes into psychedelia, and also pretty sure that Grace Slick wrote it after an acid trip too.
She did. She was highly inspired by Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis. That's what really
Interesting.
drove this song. So it's a very it's kind of a, if you sort of break it down a little bit, the song is really very interesting. It's like it's this march beat,
Yeah.
right? With this like big chromatic build.
Yep.
And then the whole thing is a crescendo from start to finish.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
super soft and then just gets huge at the end of it. So
Yeah. What I heard is it was inspired also at least partially by like Bolero, which is a similar
right.
sort of crescendo through the song, you know, and it's pretty straight form throughout. I mean, there is a bridge in the middle, but most of it is just like a build up to that, you know, iconic point that we just heard.
Now that you mention that, I actually think Sketches of Spain had a lot to do with, or I think Bolero was an influence on Sketches of Spain too. It's been
gotcha.
a long time since I've listened. That's not my favorite Miles Davis album. I'm a kind of blue guy. But, you know, back in college listening to it, I'm having this familiarity there with Bolero and Sketches of Spain. So, but yeah, Grace Slick wrote this. Like she wrote it on a piano,
Yep.
her and her voice. She actually wrote it for her prior band, which was the Great Society before Hook It Up with Jefferson Airplane. She brought this one and Somebody to Love. They're two iconic songs. She brought them both from the first band. And big hits, both of them. Like they, you know, it definitely solidified them on the rock and the pop scene.
Yeah. That whole album, that's from Surrealistic Pillow.
Yep, that's right.
And that whole album is excellent. And it's really kind of evocative of the times.
Sure.
I think Jerry Garcia is listed on there as he's credited as a spiritual advisor, I believe it was.
Of course.
You know, I don't know if he gave him some notes or whatever, but they were buddies. You know, it's all that kind of
The
San
same
Francisco scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because like I sort of forget because again, we've talked about this in prior episodes too. The first time that I experience Jefferson Airplane is like we built this city. You know what I mean?
Sure, but that is Starship.
Well, you know what
at
I
that
mean.
point,
Right,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you know, totally. Well, yeah, first time you experienced Grace Slick,
Right.
I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, a lot of the other folks hadn't been in the band in decades at that point.
That is true. But like that's my kind of that was my like earliest lasting impression of Grace Slick. And so you don't
That's
really
the first one I heard too.
and it's not a very good song.
No.
we built this.
It's a corporate shill song.
It's a right. Absolutely. So like, you know, I didn't have a lot of respect for Grace Slick, but then when you look back to the old stuff and you like listen to this song,
awesome. Yeah.
You're like, oh no, she's super talented. Still with us. She's in her 80s. She gave up music and is producing art. She like paints and draws and things. That's her gig now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, good one. Shall we move on to your number 5?
Yeah, let's do it. My number 5 is See Emily Play by Pink Floyd.
Emily tries but misunderstands. She's often inclined to borrow somebody's dreams till tomorrow. There is no other day. Let's try it another way. You'll lose your mind and play free games for play. See Emily play.
I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like the Syd Barrett era of Pink Floyd myself, which is this one was it's written by him, and this was not a big hit in the U.S., but it was a big hit in the U.K. It was one of their first. Yeah, it was originally released as a single, and then they tacked it on to the album Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which is pretty psychedelic in parts. And this song has some interesting midsection freak out weirdness and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a few of their songs came up for me from this time period as well.
Yep.
And yeah, you'll see, like, I can't remember what one came up for me earlier. I'll try to find it. Was it Interstellar Overdrive? I think it was, and it's like just like noise.
That would make sense. Yeah.
but yeah, it's like the Syd Barrett era was way more whimsical. There was like, it felt more humor or a little bit of a wink.
Yeah, sure.
When they were writing stuff, where it got a lot more serious after he left.
Yep, and a lot of the songs after he left were about Sid anyways.
That's true. Shine
like
on
Wish You
Crazy
Were
Diamonds
Here and whatnot. Yeah,
and
sure.
Wish You Were Here, yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He had, I like Syd Barrett a lot. He's got a couple of really great solo albums, a lot of good songs, really great songwriter, really kind of a unique approach, I guess.
For sure. Yeah.
Distinct voice anyways.
Very distinct. Yeah. Yeah, cool. That's a good one. Like I said, I love Pink Floyd. That one might get edited from this episode. I can't remember how litigious.
Blockers. Yeah.
How litigious Pink Floyd is, but we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah.
But never fear if you want to listen to the whole episode uncensored. You can always just grab it on the podcast, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. Anything else you want to talk about with Pink Floyd?
No, that's it for me.
We'll move on to my number 4, which is "Dazed and Confused" by Led Zeppelin.
For so long it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
One of the most
That's a good one.
One of the most iconic like non-vocal sections in a song ever.
Right.
That, like chromatic thing
Totally.
down. Yeah. This wasn't originally theirs, which I didn't know. This was written by a guy named Jake Holmes, and I actually like that version. I checked it out today, and it's really good. But originally, they didn't give him credit. It said it was written by Page.
Okay.
On that album.
Well, that's a kind of classic Led Zeppelin right there.
Yeah.
Written by Page.
Written by Page. Not quite.
Not some, old blues guy from, the U.S.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, he doesn't seem he just like if I think about him versus Brian May. Page versus May seems like a really upstanding kind of dude, where Page doesn't really seem like an upstanding
He's a little sketchy, yeah.
A little sketchy.
They're both pretty awesome, though.
They are pretty awesome. Yeah. Both great guitarists in their own way.
Yep.
But anyway, eventually they gave him credit in 2010 after probably being sued for 20 years or 30 years or something.
Sure.
But this is like, I mean, this was on the edge for me in terms of how heavy it was. So maybe we can actually talk about some of my criteria to make how I made my decision. So this, like I said, this is a little bit heavy.
Okay.
So these are the attributes that I thought made sense. Does it have organ and Rhodes? Is there, use of the tremolo?
Yep. Okay.
Is there lots of verb?
Yep.
Is someone using a wah pedal?
Sure.
Are there
Okay.
unexpected chord progressions, particularly chromatic? I think it had to be more acid trip than Vietnam. Like some of them
Yeah. Oh, yep.
kind
Agreed.
of cross over, but some of them are more scary than trippy,
Yep.
I think. And so I tried to go the more trippy, although the White Rabbit's that's kind of scary too. I don't know. But anyway.
I guess, but it's definitely
It's trippy.
associated heavily with psychedelia also,
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I avoided both kind of the more hippie end of things and the more Vietnam, you know what I mean? And there's like kind of an overlap there.
Yep.
There were some songs that were pretty trippy, but were too associated with with Vietnam or hippies.
Yeah, also needed to be a little bit slower. Like some of the songs I sort of disqualified because they were too fast. And then are all of these that I have British? I think all but three of them.
White Rabbit. Okay.
No, I have another one. I think that's not British either. But still,
the
a lot of
psychedelic
them.
thing in England was pretty big too. But I mean, also U.S. was huge too, San Francisco and L.A.
That's right. Yeah. So I think
But West Coast mostly.
right, West Coast. So I think this fit, but it was kind of on the edge because it does get pretty big. But it's
Right.
like so brooding and like it's like perfect for extended solos and just kind of builds in a beautiful way. So yeah,
It's
it
pretty
worked.
tripped out. I agree. It's definitely pretty psychedelic. Yeah, I had some similar. I didn't get quite as granular as you did with my rules, but I went with kind of like tried to. It couldn't be too garagey. There's a lot of overlap there, and I had to knock out a couple songs based on that. But some of the songs that didn't quite make it were kind of like more seminal songs for the movement. There was kind of the genesis of psychedelia, but it wasn't full on.
Got it. I think all mine are pretty late too, like 67
Okay.
through 69.
That's when it was really happening, I think. I don't think there was too much before 66.
Nope. And I had a couple DQ because of it. They were in 70 and 71. But by like maybe 67 to 72 is probably the highlight of this. And then it just kind of gets to
Yeah.
hard rock, I think. At that
Absolutely.
point. Yeah. Cool. Shall we move on to your number 4?
Let's do it. My number 4 is Hurdy Gurdy Man by Donovan.
The Gurdy man came singing songs of love. Then when the hurdy-gurdy man came singing songs of love. Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy, sang. Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy, sang. Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy-gurdy, sang.
Donovan definitely came up for me too.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty trippy in general. This one kind of typifies it for me. It checks all the boxes. It's got the tremolo on the vocals. So it's got some fuzzed out guitar. Interestingly enough, I didn't realize this. The people who played on that track, speaking of Led Zeppelin, John Paul Jones on bass.
Oh, nice.
And I think I don't know if he did the arrangement, but he did something else, maybe his production, something like that. Supposedly Jimmy Page also played guitar on this, but I believe it was Alan Holdsworth who did the solo, which actually rips.
Yeah.
So Donovan had some good dudes playing on his stuff. This whole album is really good. Donovan's got a lot of great songs. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Donovan.
But this one is very psychedelic.
What else did I have from Donovan? I had, of course, Mellow Yellow and
Mellow Yellow,
Season of the Witch.
Sunshine Superman.
Yeah.
Okay, Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
That's good. He's got so many good songs.
He really does. Yeah, I was just thinking while we were listening to it that it would be cool to listen to him. I wish that he had the tools of then, because
Oh, I see.
he orchestrates
Like what would he come up with? Yeah.
he orchestrates in a very interesting way. There's kind of a lot of stuff going on and still space. Like you can hear some of the guitar
Right.
stuff over here and the interesting layers that he does. I think with like better production, he would have just been a complete monster. As a musician.
I already think he is pretty much a monster, dude. He's
Absolutely.
got so many songs.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Another one of the tenets I think of psychedelic stuff is kind of like interesting production techniques or wide stereo stuff. Like the drums will all be in your right ear, and then the guitar solo will be in your left ear or whatever it is. And this one has some of that going on. It's weird to listen to in headphones, but it still sounds good.
It does sound good, and for sure, it's odd. And actually, you bring up a good point. I didn't even think about that because this will come up again later on for me. But but the stereo field, it like they really did start to play with that now, and it puts you off kilter.
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty new at this point, right? So I think people were just seeing what they could get away with. And Beatles did that too, right? Like, and sometimes to great effect, sometimes to just weirdness.
Yeah, but it definitely, if things aren't in where you think they should be, or like where you're used to hearing them, it puts you, it tips it a little bit for you. So, that's a cool one. Donovan's good. I like him.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to my number 3?
Yes.
My number 3 is maybe an odd one. I don't know.
Okay.
The Pusher by Steppenwolf.
You know I smoked a lot of grass. Oh Lord, I popped a lot of pills. But I've never touched nothing that my spirit could kill. You know I've seen a lot of people walking around with tombstones in their eyes. But the pusher don't care.
That's a good one. I didn't stumble upon that one at all. I wish I had. I forgot about that song.
Good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Steppenwolf is not, you wouldn't necessarily think of them in terms of psychedelic because, Born to Be Wild is kind of like a summer rock tune, or even Magic Carpet Ride. It gives you a totally different vibe. But
this one's kind of smoky blues flavor with lots of reverb, which is great.
Yeah. I love this song. I love the guitar groove too, with the noise when he does his comp.
Yeah.
But this is also a cover too. This was originally done by Hoyt Axton.
Okay.
And it's a good version, but this one's much better. And it was featured in Easy Rider. So that's kind of how it became famous.
Sure.
It's like, I think it's in the beginning of the movie too. It's like sort of
was this a chart hit? Was this a charting hit?
It hit number 6.
Did you have the stats on this one? Okay, all right. So it was a big hit.
Yeah, it was. This is off their debut album. It also had Born to Be Wild on it. Magic Carpet Ride came later, but yeah, very Doors-ish too, which is someone I did want to put on. I wanted to put Riders of the Storm on this list.
See.
But it's like 71, so I'm like, damn it,
right?
Can't do it.
Oh, okay, yep. Missed the cut.
But it's very. That's what it feels like to me. It's very kind of that similar groove.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good one. So they were way more prolific too than I give them credit for. They had 13 Hot 100 singles.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I only know the handful that you just mentioned, basically.
Those 3. There was there's a 4th one that I was just thinking about too that I'm losing. But they also 7 top 40 hits, and they had 25 million albums sold too. So they did.
Wow.
They were bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that they were as popular at the time.
Yep. So this is the other band that's not British. I'm pretty sure they're Canadian. Pretty
okay.
sure.
Well, I do not know that.
Yeah, pretty sure. But anyway, yeah, the Pusher. Steppenwolf, one of my earliest, I think. I think I had like a, Turn It Up Man, like one of those like rock compilations that we saw on TV or whatever.
Freedom Rock, is that what you're talking about?
It might have been Freedom Rock.
Turn it up.
Turn it up, man. I don't remember what it says, but the biker guy, right?
I think that's it. Is that Freedom Rock? Turn it up.
Yeah, right. I think I might have had that or something pretty early on, and so they were on there. And then I was like, oh, I like this song, and then grabbed their greatest hits or something. And there's some good ones. But Steppenwolf, not one you always think of, but a good one.
No, that was an interesting choice. I like it.
Cool. Shall we move on to your number 3?
Let's do it. I don't think you'll have to play anything because my number 3 was White Rabbit, and we already listened to that one.
Yeah.
So
I felt a little weird putting it on.
What more can be said? Yeah.
I felt a little weird putting it on.
I felt good putting it on there. I was like, oh yeah, of course. I think this should be on there.
Yeah, and that's why I did it, because it's like everybody would think of this song as in terms of psychedelic in that time period. But that's why I just felt like it was too
obvious or something.
Easy,
I don't know. I mean, this one's really kind of epitomizes the whole thing. This album specific, the Surrealistic Pillow album, I think we talked about it already.
Yeah.
But man, it's a good album. Awesome guitar, awesome bass, great songwriting, great singing. It's just really good. It's a cool vibe. It's really interesting. It's a really good album.
It is. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, then I guess we'll skip on to my.
And it was a big hit. It was a big hit.
It was a big hit.
Number 8 on the Hot 100.
Nice.
So
yeah.
Let's move on to your number 2 then.
My number 2 is Sunshine of Your Love by Cream.
It's getting near dawn. When lights close their tired eyes, I'll soon be with you, my love. Give you my dawn surprise. I'll be with you, darling, soon. I'll be with you when the stars start falling. I've been waiting so long to be where
Cream.
I'm going.
Awesome. That's a great song.
Great song.
Definitely deserving to be on the list. I'm surprised you put this on there though, because it doesn't have a lot of your
I know my
tick box.
criteria.
I mean, there's no organ, not a lot of tremolo really.
a little
Is
bit
there
of
a
wah
Does he use the wah
on the solo, yeah.
Right.
I know. It's funny because I also kind of think that they might be the seminal psychedelic band.
They definitely are on the list, especially this album. This is Disraeli
Right.
Gears. Is that?
That's right. Yeah.
That whole album, and just like the iconography and imagery of the psychedelic stuff was so associated with them. Like Clapton had that crazy
Yep.
painted guitar and all that stuff, and the woman tone or whatever, all his
Yeah, right.
drugged out shit those guys are talking about.
Yeah, but if you just look at their song list, okay, so they were a very short
Yeah.
thing too. They were only around for like 3 or 4 years. 68, what was it? They disbanded in 68. I think they got together
Okay.
in like 66. They did maybe
Yeah.
3 albums or something in and out. But they've got White Room, Tales of Brave
Yeah.
Ulysses, Badge, just all these amazing songs. And I think
Yep.
it's kind of like, it's similar to, I mean, well, of course it is, because it's similar to Hendrix and his thing. Of course, he's very influenced by Hendrix. They were shocked
Yep.
and awed by Hendrix. So,
Sure. Who wasn't?
but that's why I think they kind of both fit in the genre, even though it's sparse. Like
Yeah.
Hendrix with his experience, I think, was only a 3-piece as well.
Yep.
And maybe just
But
because
it's still pretty tripped out.
pretty tripped out. Yeah. I got to say too, I'm not I liked Eric Clapton growing up, but then in my adulthood looking back, I'm not really impressed with Clapton very much.
Yeah, I got mixed feelings about Eric Clapton. Also, some of his stuff is so good though. And I mean, you can't argue with Cream. The music is awesome, and also he was supported by one of the most killer rhythm sections.
Oh yeah,
Like, come
Ginger
on.
Baker and Jack
Yeah.
Bruce. Yeah. No, but that's what I mean is like Eric Clapton in Cream is phenomenal. Like his solo
Yeah.
on this song is
Yep.
awesome. Like he is so
Absolutely.
good. He absolutely.
This is my favorite Eric Clapton is
Yep.
Cream. of
Yeah,
course.
he absolutely deserved, being told that he was the best guitarist in Britain at the time. He absolutely deserved that because he rips this album apart. But then later on, it just gets, I don't know what happens, but he's just not as, I feel like he's just not as, if you listen to his later stuff, he doesn't sound as gifted as he sounds here.
No,
He sounds
yeah,
experimental and weird and cool and like
Right.
with a lot of passion. And yeah, I mean, Layla's a great
Maybe
song.
that was the heroin.
Could have been the heroin. Layla's a great
you never
song,
know.
but I enjoy his like acoustic stuff more later on. Like I enjoy Promises, I think, more than I enjoy his like I don't like Cocaine
Right.
and some of the other
Sure.
stuff. It just doesn't do it for me.
Doesn't seem like he really evolved or progressed
Right.
on his instrument as much as someone like a contemporary like Jeff Beck or
Jeff Beck.
someone who just was so awesome and kept getting awesomer
Perfect.
all the time.
Perfect
you know?
example. Beck is a early great guitarist, great rock player, and then just goes into fusion and jazz and just keeps getting better and better.
Kills it
Kills
every
it.
time.
Every
Doesn't
time.
play wrong notes.
No, you're exactly
He's
right.
just awesome.
Yeah, maybe that was the drugs. Maybe Clapton just had that long period of heroin and just didn't at that time wasn't practicing much anymore. Whereas
knows?
his contemporaries kept going.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe he did what he did and was satisfied with that, and was coasting. Who knows?
Who knows?
I can't speak for Eric Clapton, but I don't care for his stuff in the later years. But I definitely like Cream.
Yeah,
the best.
me
out
too.
of his stuff.
I think we're on the same page on that. I love
Yeah.
these Cream albums are spectacular. He's great. The rhythm section's great. Also interesting recording on this one too, where you've got the kit on the right hand side
Yep,
and you got
yep.
the two others, bass guitar on the left hand side.
Right.
But that's the other thing is I love the kit on this thing too. It's jun dun 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 jun dun dun. That's
Yeah.
it. There's no like it's just this kind of like I don't know, almost like this almost We Will Rock You type of thing going on.
But it's Ginger Baker playing it, so it's amazing.
It's sick. Yeah.
Did you ever see that they did a documentary about him? It's called Beware Mr. Baker.
No.
Oh, it's worth watching. Ginger Baker's crazy. And he lives in this compound in Africa, and there's a sign on the front, when you get to the gate or whatever, it says "Beware, Mr. Baker." And some guy made a movie about him. It's worth watching.
Well, that was the problem. Is Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce got angry at each other all the time. There was a lot of antagonism there. In fact, Clapton wanted to bring in Steve Winwood because I guess Winwood's a really nice guy, to try to buffer them, but Winwood's like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, he's got too much going on his own.
Yeah, right. But I guess that's what sort of broke them up is there. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's a crazy bastard. Okay, shall we move on to your number 2?
Yes. My number 2 was Incense and Peppermints by Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Good sense, innocence, crippling mankind. Dead kings, many things I can define. Occasions, spots, wagons, clutter your mind. Incense and peppermints, the color of time. Who cares what games we choose? Little to win, but nothing to lose.
Yeah, great one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one hits a lot of your zones too, with some organ and some chromatic descending sort of stuff, weird changes and ripping guitar solos, weird lyrics. Apparently, the other guys in the band, I guess this band, Strawberry Alarm Clock, was called, what were they called? Something else. The Sixpence, Thee.
Oh, okay.
And they ended up changing it, I guess, right around when this song came out. But I guess some of the guys in the band weren't too into the song because they didn't like the lyrics, because the lyricist wrote it with a rhyming dictionary, and they thought it was kind of lame, I guess.
Got a little cheesy. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, what are you going to rhyme with peppermints?
Right.
I guess incense. That's it.
Yep.
That's funny.
But this one, I feel like this one is pretty. This one also typifies the genre,
Absolutely,
and the cultural moment. So this was 1967. This one went to number 1, actually. Stayed there for 1 week on Hot 100 and was done. But it's kind of an iconic song. I feel like everyone knows this song
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah, it's right. This is like right down the middle. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, a perfect representation. Did you say it was 1967 that it came out?
Yes.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it might be earlier than that. It just sounds a little more. It sounds a little more like,
Right.
I don't know, a little more not dated, but just sounds a little earlier than some of the other stuff. But yeah, it's a good one. It is a really good one. Yeah, the weird descending chorus. I mean, like chromatic chorus with the little major at the end there is like crazy.
Yep. Then they get into the guitar solo. There's a lot going on in that song.
There certainly is.
This one wasn't. This was a single back in the days of singles. I don't think it was on their album. But the B-side was originally the A-side, and then Incense and Peppermints got popular and they flipped it. But the B-side, I think, is worth calling out. It was called "The Birdman of Alcatraz."
What's the Birdman of Alcatraz, though? What is that?
That's a guy.
It is a guy
who was in Alcatraz.
Okay, so it is taken from that.
One of the prisoners. Yeah. It's a pun for sure.
Alcatraz.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. Nice. Any more about that? Should we move on to my number 1?
No, let's move on.
I love this song. This is "Time of the Season" by the Zombies.
Ooh.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you why I really want to know. It's the time of the season for love.
So cool.
Good one. Yeah, this is another one that's a classic for sure.
Oh, I love this song. I can't tell you how
this
much.
whole album, I mean, this is kind of another one of the classic psychedelic albums.
Odyssey
and Oracle, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very good. I was listening to it today. Originally, it wasn't like they had a hard time getting anybody to listen to this damn thing.
Really?
Yeah, they released the album, I think, in what the heck was it? It was like 1967 or something. And it took them like a year and a half before they got Time of the Season to chart. First of all, they sent out, I think, 3 other singles first that panned
Interesting.
until because they resisted this one. I think the singer didn't like it. The singer doesn't like the song for some reason, which he's stupid.
Too bad.
It's a great song.
Yeah, right. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
But then finally they're like, okay, let's try this one, and it rocketed up. It hit like number 3 on the Hot 100. But it wasn't until later on that the full album was really appreciated. But it's cool. It's like it's a little more like Beach Boys, a little more jaunty, like clink, clink,
Right.
clink, 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 like
Yep.
sort of piano kind of comping.
Sure.
This one's kind of a departure from the rest of the album, though. Way more psychedelic and like tripped out. But I love it. It's got just such an amazing turnaround with the season for love, with the major on the end there that you don't expect, and the cool call and response vocals.
Yeah.
And they do something cool there too, where you got one voice starting and then the second verse, repeating back until almost the end of the phrase, where the second voice starts to show. He goes to show. That's the second voice who starts at this time, and then the first one picks up again. So they like
Gotcha.
pass it back and forth in a really neat way.
Yeah.
I love it. Didn't chart in Britain though. It crushed in the United States, but the British people were like, no, this is not what we're looking for.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Number 3. And it wasn't their debut though either, because in 65 they had She's Not There, which is another great song by
Right.
them.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They have a ton of songs.
They do. Yeah. But this one, and then they disbanded after it, so there were no more The Zombies once we got past
Too bad.
1968 basically. So
Good
that was
band
it.
name also.
Yeah, The Zombies is a great name.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, so like sparse kit again, like not a lot of hardware.
Yep.
That weird like clav or like snap that happens on the left hand side. I'm not quite sure what it is, and like the breath, like that stuff is just so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Great, just great recording, just really cool.
Yep.
And then it also like a really good organ sound and organ solo.
Yep.
In there too. So yeah,
That was Rod Argent, right?
That's him. Yeah, he wrote the
Yeah.
song too. It was like
Well, he was the kind of the guy, right?
Yeah.
For a while, anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Colin Blunstone was the singer who hated it.
Ooh,
And-
cool name.
I think they fought about it. I think Rob was like, you have to sing it breathy like this. And Colin's like, I'm not doing that. And then we saw who won that.
Yep.
That it was
History
Argent.
won.
History won. Cool. So anyway, that was my number 1. What is your
Great choice.
number 1?
My number 1 is I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night by the Electric Prunes.
Then came the dawn, and you were gone. You were gone, gone, gone. I had too much to drink last night, too much to drink. I'm not ready to face the light. I had too much to drink last night.
Cool one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That one always kind of stuck out to me as really pretty psychedelic.
Oh yeah.
Has all the elements. Has a
Every
weird
element.
noise in there.
Has the chromatic.
Lots. Yep, absolutely. It's got lots of reverb.
Yep.
Some crazy guitar, weird lyrics. I mean, I had too much to dream last night. I mean,
come
it
on.
is a pun, but it makes sense in the context of this. Electric Prunes, they didn't write this song. They had a couple of songwriters that worked with them, and but this was a big hit for them. I guess they did their originals too, but Annette Tucker and Nancy Mance wrote this song.
Nancy Mance, that's a tough one to say.
Yeah, Nancy Mance.
Nancy Mance from France.
Yeah, right. There you go. These guys are from L.A. I don't know where Nancy Mance was from. I'm assuming L.A.
Probably.
But yeah, it was a big hit. Here is the number 11 on the Billboard Top 100. It was obviously their biggest hit.
Yeah.
They were not really a one-hit wonder, but they were a one big hit band.
There's no way I could name anything else they did.
No, I mean, nothing else was a hit. I mean, this song also kind of went into obscurity and then came back because it was featured on the Nuggets compilation. If you've ever listened to that
No.
album.
What is that?
It's Nuggets. It's great. Original artifacts from the psychedelic era, I think it's called, something like that.
I don't know.
But oh yeah, it's great. There's several volumes now, but it's compilation of like kind of one hit and smaller bands from that time. Go from like the real garagey stuff into the real psychedelic stuff. But this was track 1 on Nuggets. So once that came out, people were like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about this song."
Right. Yeah, it's a cool one. Again, yeah, just like
Yeah.
it just hits like every single one of my checklist.
Yeah, it's pretty dark, thematically and stylistically, like the way it's recorded, and pretty dirty.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But a lot of wash and reverby stuff in it.
Yeah, cool one. So we both stayed away from the Beatles.
Yes, I purposely did that because
Me
I
too.
figured they're blockers.
They are
I mean,
blockers.
it's also, I mean, while they did a lot, they incorporated a lot of psychedelic elements into their songs. I don't really think of them as a psychedelic band.
No, but I wonder if they invented it because, some of the stuff here that I have are pretty early because they
Yeah.
disbanded by 1970. So we're talking Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is, of course, off of Sgt. Pepper's. That's pretty, maybe that's still 67. I can't actually remember the date on that. But here's the songs that came up for me. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, A Day in the Life,
Yep.
Strawberry Fields Forever, I Am the Walrus, Tomorrow Never Knows. Those are all pretty like trippy. And
Yeah.
I think at least on
Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter, of course. Yeah, at least on the early end of things, at least on the early end of the movement. So
I think it was all kind of going on at the same time, and all those guys, they all knew each other
True.
too. Like the Led Zeppelin guys played on Donovan's record.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Jimmy Page played on a million records, but you know what I mean? I think it was a smaller scene, and kind of the elites were probably jamming together anyways,
Yeah.
and trading tips. It's all kind of, it's like a zeitgeist,
yeah, that's funny. Like for such a small country in like square miles, it's like they had
Sure.
a lot of just the amount of amazing music that came out of it in the 60s is crazy. 60s.
I mean, a lot of that stuff happens for everyone kind of lifts each other up, you know, when there's a scene, like it's like if you listen to like the Beatles, Beach Boys thing where, one album inspired the Beatles and then that album inspired, Beach Boys, and then that album inspired the Beatles again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
right.
They were trying to one up each other or just do, whatever, achieve the same heights.
Yeah. Another person that we stayed away from was Hendrix, though. Like,
Yep.
Are You Experienced is maybe the
Pretty
best.
great. It was on my short list for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like he kind of once again transcends that scene. I mean,
He
he's
does.
Jimi Hendrix.
I know. He does.
Like
Yeah.
he's in a category of his own.
He does. And I really like the Band of Gypsies stuff too, where it's
Yep.
like, there's that live Band of Gypsies album. I don't, that's the one that I'm familiar with. That's just so good. And he does like Machine Gun for 10 minutes or something. And
Yep. Is that the one Buddy Miles plays drums
I
on
think
at least some of that?
Yeah, because he's singing on there too. I don't know. What the heck is the song? It's not
Them
Machine-
Changes?
Yeah, I think
Them
that's what it is.
Changes, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that album?
Yeah.
The Them Changes album by Buddy Miles?
Oh, wait.
Really
No.
good.
No, I don't think I have.
His album is good.
It is.
Yeah, it's really good.
I should check it out. Yeah, I like him on that.
definitely should.
In that live
Well, if you
album.
like him at all, listen to that album because it's all him and it's great.
Yep. There were other doors that could have worked.
Yep.
But like the end didn't quite. It was, I don't know. It's too dark. I guess.
Yeah.
Too out there. I don't know. The Too Dark, and then Light My Fire or something. But those are the other ones. They're pretty psychedelic, but maybe that one's a little bit too up tempo.
And they're also, I tried to stay away from bands that were like, like the big iconic bands. Like I know you had Led Zeppelin on there.
Yeah.
But I didn't put them on there like because it's Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean? It's the Doors, Led
That's
Zeppelin, Beatles. I did have Pink Floyd, so maybe I should shut up.
Yeah, maybe. But also like or the Rolling Stones, I stayed away from too. There was like
Yeah,
2,000 Light Years from Home is kind of a trippy one.
Yep. Well, I had one on my short list. She's a Rainbow from
that's
their
right.
Satanic Majesty's Request. That one's pretty psychedelic, but
Yep.
their psychedelic era kind of got panned by a lot of people. I think unnecessarily. There's some good stuff on that.
For
album.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, but they did so much more, so much like
Yep.
rock. Velvet Underground we stayed away from too.
Yeah, I don't think they're really psychedelic
It's hard.
necessarily. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely weird and out there, but it's more like kind of droning, I
Droning.
think, rather than psychedelic.
Yeah. But like, could you shoot heroin to it? Yes. In fact, he did.
And yeah, a
on
lot.
stage.
Mhm.
What else? Like there was some 8 Miles High came up for me, which is the Bird
Yep.
song. That's a
Yep,
pretty
that's
good
a
one.
good one. Yep, I had that on my short list.
There's the Small
Just
Faces
dropped
one.
in. Did you have just
Oh.
dropped in to
Yep.
see what condition my condition was in?
Of course.
That's a good one. That was close. That was close for me because that was a big hit too. That was the number 5 hit.
Yeah. Itchy Coo Park by Small Faces.
Yep.
There was, Nights in White Satin came up for me too. I hate the Moody Blues.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not into it either.
I don't like
that wouldn't
them.
make my playlist regardless if it was, a big hit of
Yeah.
that genre or not.
Maybe could have gone Traffic. Like there's Paper Sun.
Yep. That I saw that one. That's pretty good.
That was a good
That's
one.
a good song.
I really like Traffic. Yeah.
Hush by Deep Purple was on my short list.
Wow, that's a great song too.
Yeah.
Great song.
It is. That's not theirs either. That's a cover.
Is it
and
really?
then it was it was who was the original? Billy Joe Royal.
No idea.
I know,
that
right?
is a great song. Oh man,
But it
that
was all
organ.
around the same time. So
It doesn't. It's too upbeat, too up tempo.
Yeah,
but that's a great one.
but it does have some organ
Such
and
good
some
organ.
reverby guitars. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if there was anyone. Was there anyone more influential with the organ than that dude was at that time? Like he just everything from like the Leslie stuff and like the
Right.
stops and the start and just like all the clicky things that he was
Yeah,
doing. I don't know. He just such great tone
For that
everything.
time, yeah, absolutely. In the rock arena, I mean, other people were playing like Hammonds and stuff,
Yeah.
funky organ stuff.
But he ripped
But
it.
it was a different vibe. It was like Jimmy Smith or whatever.
Yeah. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Child in Time. I love. I gotta go back and listen to some more Deep Purple
yeah.
again. I love them.
They have a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There was surprisingly a lot of songs and a lot of bands that
Yeah.
kind of fit.
Mhm.
I thought.
I had some deeper cut. I mean, neither of us went with Inagata Davida.
Yeah.
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 But that one had it the radio edit, the 3-minute version or whatever it is. That went to number 30 on the Hot 100.
Yeah.
But I prefer. I mean, it's gonna be hipster of me. I prefer their earlier stuff. Iron Butterfly's first album, Heavy. Have you ever heard that one? That
I don't
one's
think
good.
so. Really?
It's more metally. Yeah, it's pretty good. Heavy by Iron Butterfly. That's a good album.
I should check it out. Yeah, I get like turned off because the Anagata Davida thing, it turns me off because I'm like, he was too drunk to sing the stupid words. And so they don't even call it by the real name. It's In the Garden of
I
Eden.
don't think it was him. I thought they were like, yeah, it definitely is. I thought they were making fun of someone though.
Were they really? I thought he was drunk and they just kept it.
Maybe, could be. I don't remember the details, but
That would be better if he were just like, goofing off.
oh, I think okay, all right. Apparently, he got really drunk. He
Yeah.
drank an entire gallon of Red Mountain wine, and then when he played the song for one of the other guys who was transcribing the lyrics, he was slurring so bad that that they wrote down Inagata Davida. They just wrote it phonetically.
Right.
So interesting. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so.
Like
Never mind.
Actually,
He was pretty drunk, but I mean, I think it's better that way because I mean, if it was in the Garden of Eden,
well, that's
like it's
cheesy.
kind of dumb. Like everyone knows what he's getting at, and
I
it's weird.
guess.
And I mean,
It is
can't
weird.
argue with the longevity of the song.
No, you can't. But still, it's like
It is
kind
kinda dumb.
I just can't imagine putting something out like that and just like unless it was just some sort of parody album or something. Like, oh no,
I guess.
we're serious about this one. We're serious about
Yeah.
our number 30 hit, Anagata Davida. Like, please take it seriously.
Well, it's rock and roll too. It sounds cooler as Inagata Davida than in the Garden of Eden.
yeah,
you
that's
know?
cheesy. I agree.
That's what I think, anyway.
I agree. Yeah, you're probably right. It probably worked out better this way, but
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it gave him notoriety. I wonder if people heard it and were like, "What the hell?
What the hell is
guy
this? Yeah,
doing?"
I'm sure that's part of it, right? That works.
It totally
I mean,
works.
we're talking about it now for a long time.
50 years later, whatever it was. 60
Yeah,
years
right.
later. Yeah. Okay. That you're right. That did come up for me too, and I just sort of panned it. But I should. I get dumb about these things. I'll check out their album Heavy. Yeah.
One more that I had, I mentioned this earlier, it was a little too garagey, but this is kind of one of the seminal early psychedelic-ish songs, but it's a little more garagey.
Yeah.
You're Gonna Miss Me by 13th Floor Elevators. That song's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
The guy's like screaming, like for real, like he's going buck wild on that track.
Yeah.
But it was a little too garagey, I felt like, and wasn't a huge hit. I mean, it's become iconic over time. It's got to be on Nuggets. You got to check out Nuggets.
I guess I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff. I think there's like a 4-disc box version, or disc, whatever.
Yeah.
4-album box version. It's all on Spotify and wherever else, but it's like 100 songs now or something like that.
Yeah. So what happened to Pink Floyd, who probably could have carried it on the best, just because they were probably the tightest best like composers maybe of them all, and had the most longevity. They changed up. It was still, I guess there were elements of psychedelic in it, but I don't know if I would describe it that way.
Yeah, but it was a little less whimsical and more jammy.
More
like it kind
jammy.
of evolved into spaced out jams.
Yeah, and so that's what I was gonna say. Do you think that that's what it evolved, and then it goes into like Garcia and the Grateful Dead, and then like
Right,
Fish after
sure.
that? That's kind of where psychedelic goes, I guess.
Yeah, into the jam zone.
Into
right?
the jam zone, right? Yeah, they probably all didn't.
Which frequently contains lots of psychedelic elements.
That's true. Yeah, for sure. Right, but then but it was basically right after early 1970s, and then kind of.
It was a quick scene, similar to like when we talked about grunge. It was around for a few years and then it ran its course and then it moved on to whatever the next thing was.
It makes me wonder what scenes I'm missing. You know how like when you get older, right?
Sure.
The time period, a 5-year time span when you're 15 is a third of your life, but when you're 40 or whatever, it's it's an eighth of your life. So it feels a lot shorter. So I'm wondering how many of these movements I've missed in the last decade. What 2 5-year span music things did I miss?
Oh, K-pop.
Did I miss Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably still going on.
I think it's been,
but no, I mean, it
dominant.
happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
There's so many, micro genres or whatever you want to call it. But it's always ongoing.
Yeah, but maybe it's not even like that anymore because we have way more access to music and so many more
Fair
people
enough,
can
right.
put it out there that the subgenres are always like we could find outlaw country whenever we want. Like we can find
That's true, right?
Right.
You can find outlaw country from any country in the world.
That's right. We can find K-pop whenever we want. We can find I don't know what's the most ridiculous, I don't know, like prog folk whenever we want. It's just
Sure.
it's gonna
And
be
you
there.
can find where everything exists at this point.
Everything exists, yeah. All right, cool. Anything else we should talk about with this list? I think it was a good one. I mean, I like all the songs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really good tunes. Oh, one more I wanted to mention just because it's the Monkees. The Porpoise song by the Monkees from the soundtrack to their movie Head. That's a pretty psychedelic movie. Pretty weird.
I can't remember that song and how it goes.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the elements
Okay.
that we've talked about.
All right.
Worth mentioning. If you've never seen that movie Head, you should check it out. Frank Zappa's in it.
I think as a kid I saw it. And,
Okay.
I don't.
It's not like the TV show.
It's
that
like,
much.
It's
It's
psychedelic. Isn't it? Is there a Beatle in there too? Is like Harrison in there or something?
I think Ringo.
Or maybe Ringo.
There's
of course.
a ton of people. There's a ton of cameos in it.
Of course, it's Ringo.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Don't hate on Ringo.
I have to a little bit. I shouldn't.
Why?
I mean, he kept a good beat.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's good as an actor too. Whenever he shows up, it's cool.
You're happy to see him. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't give him crap. I mean, I just feel like everybody else played the drums and not him on their albums.
Hey, whatever, dude. He's still the guy that was in the Beatles.
That's
whether or
true.
not he played it or they had, Bernard Purdy come overdub
God.
or whatever story you want to believe.
Yeah, no,
Or
I
if
think it was like John
McCartney,
and Paul.
who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. There shouldn't be Ringo hate here. If you're a Beatle, you get a pass, I guess.
I don't see what people have against Ringo. I guess he's kind of cheesy, but he's
think
pretty great.
I think that's what he is. He's cheesy. All the songs that he like Octopus's Garden, dude. I mean,
It's
what are we
pretty
doing?
dumb. Yeah.
I mean, Yellow Submarine, dude. I mean, like he just doesn't have the chops. Like that's the problem. Is like if you compare him to the other three. I'm a
He's
big
not
George
a great
guy.
songwriter.
Big
sure.
George
Well, the
guy,
other
me.
three are great songwriters.
Exactly.
And Ringo is not a great songwriter, but
No.
he's still a Beatle.
He is still a Beatle. I know. I just think in comparison, the other three are just so much. They're just.
I guess
like,
if you
so
have
good.
to rank the Beatles in terms of songwriting prowess, Ringo would be at the bottom.
Well, who's number one? I'll tell you that right away. But who do you think it is?
I don't know. It's hard to break it out. I feel like they're all pretty good.
Well, it's Paul. Paul's the best writer.
Yeah,
of
I
the
guess
three.
he's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though
Consistency. He has the greatest consistency.
absolutely
Over time, especially.
Yeah, I mean, he lived longer too, so that definitely.
Fair enough.
that
Well, I mean,
definitely
if you
helps.
want to cut it off at 1980 or
1980.
whatever, he still had
But but the other two I think are great. John was way more prolific than George was, but George wrote some like
But George wrote some great songs.
Something is
yeah.
just an amazing song. Like it's so good. I mean, he's
when he
he's
nailed
great.
it, he knocked it out of the park for sure.
And even his like his My Sweet Lord, like that's such a great song. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Like his stuff afterwards, even when he went Krishna or whatever, it's just he wrote some beautiful songs. Even I Got My Mind Set on You. I like that song.
It's pretty good. It's funny that it's him.
It is funny, and the video is ridiculous too, where he's in this like
I don't remember the video.
he's in this like automatron set. Like if you've ever been to Disney World or whatever, and you go into like the rides, you have these like kind of robotic,
like Chuck E. Cheese or
Chuck E.
Showbiz
Cheese
Pizza or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in this like rocking chair in the setting. I think he's in like it's almost like a cabin scene, and you got the bird coming out of the cuckoo clock, and you got other stuff. It's
Interesting.
ridiculous. And
I'll
he
have
gets
to
up,
rewatch that.
he gets up and he does a backflip. It's not him, but he gets up. They switch him off with an acrobat who does a backflip and then switch him back in. It's kind of
Stunt double.
Stunt double. But
you don't think George could do a backflip?
not at that age.
He's probably pretty limber.
Yeah, but he's in his 40s by then, I think.
Yeah.
When I got my son, that's got to be like 87 or something, 86 maybe,
I would believe that.
something like that. So he's got to be,
Yeah.
he's got to be 45 at that point.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that was some good Beatles talk. I wish we could talk about Beatles more, but they're
blockers.
They're blockers. They'll come after us.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on Ultimate Playlist for Briggs. I'm Matt, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye.